Hello there and welcome. In this video we're going to talk about my long-awaited Azata Mythic Path guide. Azata has become one of my favorite mythic paths in the whole game. First, it has quite a lot of unique story and dialogue events, and it is also a mythic path that offers quite a lot of support for both magic and melee characters, so very versatile. I'll begin this guide by talking about the mythic abilities that Azata gains. After that, I'll talk about spells, 3 builds I have picked based on magic, melee and also a kineticist. And lastly, I will talk about Aivu, our very special dragon companion. Alright, so let us talk about Azata Mythic Progression. First we have your first Ascension ability, the Azata themed one being Instrument of Freedom. This is actually one of the most useful Ascension abilities in the game. First, you can use it to blast an enemy as a ranged touch attack for good irresistible damage. That scales with your mythic rank. But the main benefit is when used on allies, as this will empower their attack for 2 plus mythic rank rounds, with an additional 2d6 points of holy damage. Holy damage is always useful, and because this ability's uses and also duration scales with the more mythic ranks you have, you will eventually be able to empower your entire party, melee attackers and ranged attackers as well, even pets. So at mythic rank 3, we will finally get our first and unique Azata abilities. The first one being, of course, Dragon Companion, which gives us Aivu, our very special friendly dragon. I have devoted an entire section of this guide to Aivu later on, so be sure to stay until the end of this video so you can see how powerful and useful Aivu the Dragon can be. Besides Aivu, we also get our first song, Song of Heroic Resolve. It has a decent benefit of granting our allies a luck bonus to saving throws, but frankly I'm not really a fan of the Azata songs overall, mostly because, at least as far as I know, you cannot use them to pre-buff before battle starts. I am only allowed to use these songs during battle, which is somewhat annoying to me because they cost an entire action, and frankly, once battle starts, I'd much rather be attacking or casting spells. Okay, so now at mythic rank 4, is when we truly get powerful as an Azata, because it is when we get access to our first superpower. Azatas basically have 7 different superpowers to choose from, and overall you are going to get 3 of them during the whole game, as the last one only comes at mythic rank 10, which, well, as you might already know, there's nothing left in the game to fight besides the final boss. The first one is All Skilled, and this is one of the best superpowers. It gives your Azata a bonus equal to their mythic rank to all their skill checks. Because the bonus is untyped, this is going to stack with about everything, so very useful. Not only that, but also lets you roll the skill check twice and pick the better result, further increasing your chances of making that skill check. It doesn't end there really, because it also makes you proficient with all types of weapons and armor, another decently powerful ability. With this, you will be able to equip almost anything really. A character such as a caster, for example, will be able to use all of the fighter weapons, martials and also exotic weapons for free, and also all types of armor. However, do note that you will not be able to equip specific class gear such as unique monk robes, and you will still have to rely on use magic device to cast scrolls from other classes. The second Azata superpower is Favorable Magic, and another very powerful one. First, it's going to force the enemy to save against your spells twice, highly increasing the chances of the enemy failing the save, as they will take the worst result. Combine this with saving throws debuffs like the classic Evil Eye and also Visions of Madness, and your chances of having the enemy fail the save will increase tenfold. It doesn't stop there and has 2 equally powerful effects. It's also going to let you roll twice when attempting to overcome enemy spell resistance. Lastly, for spells that have half damage on a saving throw, the enemy will still take 70% of it. So instead of reducing it by half, they will only reduce it by 25%. The third Azata superpower is Incredible Might, and as the name itself says, it is an incredible superpower, especially for melee and ranged characters. First, this is going to give you a morale bonus equal to your Azata mythic rank on both attack and damage rolls. Usually, you will only get +2 morale to damage and attack with the Heroism or Good Hope spell, or +4 with Greater Heroism and also Heroic Invocation. The best part about this is that it will let you gain up to +10 morale, so +6 over the strongest spell in the game. It also has a neat secondary effect of inflicting one of these very powerful debuffs on the enemy whenever you make a successful charge attack or confirm a critical hit. The enemy can be stunned, prone, pushed away, and also stunned, crippled with a debuff to armor class and attack rolls, become exhausted for a crippling -6 to strength and dexterity, or be even instantly killed. Now the secondary effect does have a save of 10 plus your mythic rank and your strength modifier, but because it is applied per hit, that is every charge attack or critical hit, chances are the enemy is going to fail even on unfair, especially for characters that can have very high strength, such as Mutation Warrior, one of the Azata builds I have picked to show you later on. Now this also comes with another effect. Instead of gaining the bonus to yourself, you can choose to grant your allies half of your morale bonus to attack and damage rolls. This isn't really useful, because as I said before, you can already give your allies greater heroism or heroic invocation for +4 to damage and rolls when it comes to morale bonuses. We will only achieve +4 at mythic rank 8, so very late in the game, and by that point we will already be able to cast both heroic invocation and greater heroism. The fourth Azata superpower is Life Bonding Friendship. This used to be a lot more useful on release, but it was somewhat nerfed on the more recent patches. Basically, to start, it lets you give your allies any teamwork feat you desire. I'm not a particular fan of this ability because you can just have your allies pick the teamwork feat themselves, and frankly, the good teamwork feats are somewhat limited, basically outflank, seize the moment, and shake it off. The secondary effect of Life Bonding Friendship can be powerful, but only if you have a charisma-based character, like let's say a sorcerer or a paladin, as so long as your Azata character is alive, your party members will be able to continue fighting even if they drop below 0 hit points. However, there is a limit to the amount of hits they can take while under this state, equal to your charisma modifier. Another Azata superpower is Marvelous Endurance, and this is pretty weak. The main effect is regeneration, equal to half your mythic rank, which honestly is very subpar. There's a lot of healing spells you can use in the game, and the banner ability will already regenerate your hit points a lot more than this during chapter 3 and also chapter 5. Another Azata superpower that is somewhat overrated in my opinion is Supersonic Speed. So long as your Azata is engaged in combat, they will automatically gain the effect of the haste spell, and also give them 20% concealment. Not only that, but we also get a 10% chance of spells failing to hit you, which is somewhat unique, and having the damage of area of effect spells, even if you already passed the save, for 1/4 of total damage. Basically an uber evasion effect. Now my main issue with this superpower, well, as far as the haste effect, you can simply cast haste, and honestly, because of abundant casting, you will always have enough haste to last you a lifetime really. As far as the concealment, simply cast Blur, Greater Invisibility, or Displacement. And for negating spell damage on saving throws, you can simply cast Resist Energy Communal and also Protection from Energy Communal. Or simply have high saves and equip the very powerful Ring of Evasion, of which you get multiple copies during the game. Now the last Azata superpower is in my opinion the best one overall. Zippy Magic. This will make single target spells and abilities that you cast on the enemy change to another nearby enemy, so basically hitting 2 enemies instead of just 1. It's also going to increase the damage of the spell or ability by 2d6 plus mythic rank, a little low but still useful. Now do note that I said, unlike what is stated here on the description, this currently works for both spells and also abilities such as Kinetic Blast, as I will show you later on, for one of the builds that I have picked, and even more abilities. A very surprising fact is that this will proc on, let's say, Vital Strike, which is just insane really, as your Vital Strike will hit not only one enemy but also change to another nearby enemy for massive amounts of damage, especially when you consider Vital Strike limits you to just 1 attack per round. This is also one of the reasons that I will showcase another powerful Azata build, a Vital Strike melee character with access to the cleave feats, so you can hit a massive amount of enemies per round with your Vital Strike for insane amounts of damage. Now besides our superpowers, the only other things that we get from Mythic rank 5 to 10 are more songs, in this case Song of Broken Chains at Mythic 5, which will end any compulsion or paralyze-like effect currently affecting your characters. This can actually be decent to use as an action during battle, but frankly there are ways to become immune to both compulsion spells, and you can simply cast Freedom of Movement. Another song gained at Mythic 6 is Song of Defiance. The effect is somewhat subpar as well. As far as damage reduction, you can simply cast Stone Skin Communal, and as for regeneration, Honestly, you have both heal, mass heal, channel positive energy. There are many ways of healing your characters besides this. The last song is also somewhat useless, Song of Courageous Defender. You also gain damage reduction and immunity to fear. Once again, you can gain this through other effects. The other effect will attempt to confuse the enemies, but I wouldn't really bother really, as the difficulty class is not going to be high, especially on hard and unfair. So overall, the best Azata superpowers I'd say are certainly All Skilled, Favorable Magic, Incredible Might, and Zippy Magic. I will show you the proper order of picking these feats based on your class type in the build section for 3 different builds. As an Azata, you will even gain permanent bonuses from resting in your court, the main one being a plus luck bonus on all skill checks, but depending on some of your choices, you can also get ones such as Shiny Dreams, Source of Alchemy, and Desna's Lullaby Harp. And of course the infamous one where you summon a lot of trends per party member for your very own Giant Tree army. Alright, so let us talk about the unique Azata Mythic spells. Your first level spells are just normal spells really. The most useful one here will be Unbreakable Heart to remove confusion. Now the second level spells is when things start getting good. The most useful one here is Ode to Miraculous Magic. Not only does it work on all your party members and has quite high duration at 10 minutes per level, it gives everyone a +4 morale bonus on checks to overcome spell resistance, very unique and useful, and will even increase the saving throw DC of all spells that require will saves by 2. Very powerful, especially for the illusion spells, all of which require both a fortitude and also a will saving throw. Never mind the always handy Glitter Dust. The second great Azata level 2 spell is Rejuvenating Poem, as this will remove both fatigue and exhaustion from all your party members. Very good before we get access to Mass Heal, which comes rather late in the game. Level 3 spells can also be decent. The most powerful one is Believe in Yourself, because this can grant up to a +2 morale to your ability of choice. In my case, for my Azata Sorcerer, I increase Charisma for example. For Scylla you can increase Charisma as well for a stronger Mark of Justice, and Social can benefit from a stacking bonus to Wisdom for an even more powerful Guarded Hearth ability. Now I know this spell says +1 bonus for each forecaster level. I don't know if this is bugged, but in my case, the spell has a cap of +2. Optimistic Smile can also be decent, because it can remove all harmful mind-affecting spells from all your party members. Now level 4 Azata spells are somewhat disappointing really. Echolocation is always good as it removes the need for blind fight, and will let your melee attacks hit all of the enemies, even if they have concealment. Deadly Beauty is somewhat decent I guess. 5 Adamantine Reduction can be decent, but it's not going to be very powerful. At the very least it has very high duration. Chaotic Healing on the other hand is just a minor heal. Although the secondary effect can be useful, it's very random as well. Believe in Yourself being the most powerful effect. Now at level 5 spells, things get great again. First we have Moral Support, a very unique spell that mainly gives your allies an untyped bonus to saving throws equal to 1 +6 caster levels, so basically up to +3. At maximum level. As I said before, it is untyped, so will stack with everything, very useful. The other great level 5 spell is Second Breath. This spell has amazing potential. It will automatically restore all of your party ability uses. It says companions here, but it also works on yourself, to the maximum amount. The main uses for this would be to restore Paladin Mark of Justice and Smite Evil, and of course, Cleric domain abilities such as the highly powerful Guarded Hearth. Just look at this, we got 1 use back. But there are many powerful class abilities that will be restored by this spell, such as Scald and Bard Song,
Missed me already.
and even abilities from items. A rather unique and somewhat amusing use of this spell is to restore Alchemist's Mutagen, and for some reason you will be able to apply your Mutagen effect, at least as far as armor class, multiple times to the same character, which is kinda crazy really, and I'm not sure if they're going to change that later on with patches. But overall an extremely powerful spell when you consider how many classes have great abilities with uses per day that you can completely restore. Around 3 times per day really, because one of your level 5 spell uses will certainly go into moral support. So you can have something like 4 whole uses of Guarded Hearth, and frankly a massive amount of Magus, Spirit Shaman, Smite Evil, and all sorts of other class ability uses. Don't leave home without this spell really. The main level 6 Azata spell is certainly going to be Songs of Steel. First, it grants your character of choice additional damage on hit, sonic damage in this case, which is rarely resisted, but most importantly, it also grants a bonus to spell resistance, and last but not least, a very useful increase in difficulty class of all your spells by 2 whole points, extremely powerful. It does have somewhat low duration, so try to keep it for bosses and tough enemies. Joy of Life can be somewhat decent, as it will restore your companion spells up to 5th level, but does not affect your Azata spellbook. Now level 7 spells is when things get crazy powerful again. First we have Unbreakable Bond, another very powerful Azata spell that not only makes your whole party immune to mind affecting conditions for a rather big duration, but also grants them plus 3 luck bonus on all saving throws and 5 damage resistance while close to your Azata. Last but not least, we have the amazingly powerful Heroes Never Surrender spell. This will basically combine both Second Breath and Joy of Life, except it's even stronger. It will restore all the abilities of your companions, so considering you already have users of Second Breath, you can have just insane amounts of ability users per day from all sorts of classes. And also restore all of your companions and even your spells, besides your Azata Mythic spells, up to level 7. This spell used to be bugged before, but one of the recent patches actually fixed it, so it is working just fine now. Alright, so let us talk about my Azata Kineticist build now. Azata Kineticist can be extremely strong because of the fact Zippy Magic will also work with our Kinetic Blast abilities, including the very powerful Blade Whirlwind. Notice how we just hit the 2 Apocalypse Locusts twice per a single Blade Whirlwind, and one of these hits was a critical hit that also chained to the other enemy, and then we got a second attack just below that. Now as far as the build itself, the core of the build, so basically your level 1 to 20 abilities, are the same as I have recently showed in my Kineticist build guide, so be sure to check that. The main difference are of course our Mythic Path abilities, as we have access to the Azata Superpowers. The most important one of course is Zippy Magic as soon as level 4, so that once again our blast can hit multiple targets, from 2 to every single enemy surrounding us. Now your superpower at rank 6 should certainly be Incredible Might, to grant us a very high morale bonuses to attack and damage rolls, and this includes our blast. Because our blast will be either a ranged touch attack or a melee touch attack in the case of Whirlwind, just with this boost we are sure to hit most of the enemies, even on unfair. Now your last superpower at Mythic rank 8 should be Favorable Magic. This way we can 100% penetrate the very high spell resistance of the late game enemies, especially the Demon Lord bosses. Now the best thing about Azata Kineticist is that your most powerful ability already comes at rank 4, so decently early in the game, and this is also around the same level that you will be able to pick Blade Whirlwind at level 11. So just like Merged Angel and Lich, it can make for a very fun build to play as soon as chapter 3 starts. Now the second build I'd like to talk about is a melee character focused on both Vital Strike and also the cleaving finishing line of feats. We have an enormous amount of attack bonus, and this is still missing a few situational bonuses, and with power attack on, an absurd amount of damage with up to ×5 critical multiplier, and 50 to 20 critical range. Despite being a two-handed character, our armor class is also not bad at all, and so are our saving throws, including will. For our Vital Strike Cleaver class, we are going with Mutation Warrior for all of the great fighter feats, weapon training, and of course, the extremely powerful Alchemist Mutagen to highly increase our strength, and even armor class as well. Later on also giving bonuses to Constitution or Dexterity. Your ability points are pretty simple, 19 Strength, 12 Dexterity, and 16 Constitution. The skills are up to you. I'll be going with Athletics, Knowledge World, Lore Nature, and also use Magic Device, but you can pick anything you want really. Now for our feat selection, I'll try to keep this shorter than my usual build videos. After all, this build is mainly about Azata, and I still have other builds to cover, as to not make the video very long. So let's talk about the build progression. Now please note that my character is just fresh out of respec here, so this explains the low stats and such, as he's completely ungeared and unbuffed. For your level 1 feats, go with Weapon Proficiency for Shard, Power Attack, and Cleave. Cleave will be a very powerful feat during the early game, because it lets you gain basically 2 attacks per round, when you would be limited to just 1. For level 2, Cleaving Finish. This way, if you defeat an enemy, you will get a free attack on a nearby enemy. Very good for the early levels where we just have basically one attack. For level 3, weapon focus for shard. Level 4, weapon specialization for shard. Level 5, outflank. And we also get weapon training in pole arms, of course, to increase the power of our shard. Level 6 is when we first get access to Vital Strike, but it's only going to become really powerful once we get Zippy Magic. Level 7, combat reflexes. And also the Pharaoh Mutagen ability for an extra bite attack. Level 8, improved critical for shard, an essential feat that will increase our shard critical range to 1520, very high. Level 9, greater weapon focus for shard. And also armed bravery as the fighter training ability. Level 10, seize the moment. Level 11, improved Vital Strike, and this is when things get good, as we will also get Mythic Vital Strike and Zippy Magic, as you will see in our Mythic progression soon to come. And also the Pharaoh Wings Discovery, for an extra 3 dodge bonus to armor class against melee attacks. Level 12, go with greater weapon specialization for shard. Level 13, Great Cleave, and also Trained Initiative. Level 14, improved cleaving finish. This way we have no limits to the number of cleaving finish we can use. So basically, so long as we can keep killing an enemy, and we will be able to do this because of our very high damage per hit, we will continue attacking. Level 15, improved initiative, and also greater mutagen. Level 16, greater vital strike. Level 17, dazzling display, and fighter's reflexes. Level 18, shatter defenses. At level 19 we don't really have anything good left to pick, so I just went with toughness. And of course, grand mutagen. I went with penetrating strike to pierce enemies damage reduction that's not cold iron or good, like adamantine. And of course we also get our capstone fighter ability, weapon mastery, which will increase our 4 shard critical multiplier by 1, so times 5 when combined with Scald Rage. Now let us talk about mythic progression for our Vital Strike two-hander cleaving Azata build. At mythic rank 1, be sure to pick Ever Ready to highly enhance our attacks of opportunity, especially as we get combat reflexes somewhat late. For mythic rank 2, go with improved critical for shard. This is essential. At mythic rank 3, last stand. Mythic rank 4, your first Azata superpower should certainly be Zippy Magic to double our vital strikes. Look at how crazy this can be. We hit one of the Vrolic Eyes for a critical hit, dealing close to 1900 damage. We get another hit because of Zippy Magic, and then Cleaving Finish activates. So we also hit the Vavakia here with 2 critical hits, each dealing close to 1800 damage. Certainly enough to completely annihilate anything in the game, even on unfair. And also the Mythic Vital Strike feat to enhance it even further. Mythic rank 5, I like going with always a chance. The reason is simple really, as our Vital Strike is limited to just 1 per round. So we don't want to be missing just because we rolled a 1 on the dice. Mythic rank 6, Power Attack Mythic. Rank 7, Mythic Charge, but you can replace this with something else if you want, like Elemental Barrage. For rank 8, Mythic Weapon Specialization, and also the all-skilled Azata Superpower. But you can also change this for something else, like the Haste Superpower or the Regeneration Superpower if you so desire. The main reason is that as a fighter we will already be proficient with most of the weapons and armor, but frankly by this point both the Regeneration and Haste Superpowers aren't going to make that much of a difference. So this is why I went with all skilled. As for Mythic rank 9, Archmage Armor for even more armor class. But once again, just like with Mythic Charge, you can replace this for something else that you want, such as Elemental Barrage, or even the Unrelenting Assault mythic ability for a bonus to damage rolls. Now let us talk about gear for our Mutation Warrior Azata. Of course, the Velex's Magnifying Amulet for an untyped bonus to your highest ability score, in this case Strength. I'm going with a Mithril Full Plate here, but you can choose Archmage Armor and not wear armor at all. For belts, I like belts that increase both Strength and Constitution. For your gloves, Fencer's Gift of course, because of the bonus to both weapon training and also two-handed weapon damage. As usual, Boots of Freest Rain. Your helmet should definitely be Shy Lily for the amazing +4 profane bonus to strength and armor class, so we can reach very high strength. For goggles, Goggles of Piercing Gaze for the bonus on attack and damage against outsiders such as all demons. Cloaks of Resistance. For rings, Ring of Evasion, so we can avoid the enemy area of effect spells that inflict damage. The other ring slot is up to you really, but one of my favorites as usual is the Ring of Guiding Star for a +4 bonus to initiative. As for braces, I'm keeping the engraved lucky braces for the useful luck bonus. But you can go with other braces such as the braces of dominance earlier in the game, so that your critical hits will force the enemy to save or become unable to attack, or braces that enhance your sneak attack, and eventually, because of the Baphomet's book that gives you sneak attack, you will gain sneak attack. Now let us talk about the most important part, weapons. We of course are going with 4 shards, and the best one to me so far that the game has to offer is Mighty Blow of Good. You can buy this from the exotic merchant starting from chapter 3 in the Dresden capital. This 4 shard already comes with Evil Outsider Bane, so you won't need to cast Crusader's Edge, and it also has the unique property of granting you a +3 bonus on damage rolls against non-good creatures so long as you are good aligned, so it does help for Azata to be good, and well, Azata is a mythic path for good characters, so it does fit. Your quick slot items aren't that important. I like going with the lucky dice for the luck bonus to either attack, damage or armor class, and also the Signet of House Vespertilio to increase one of your skills. Now let us talk about my last Azata build. In this case, a Spellcaster that is very versatile, capable of both somewhat decent melee attacks, very high single target damage, very strong debuffing spells that can even instantly kill the enemy. So let us see how our Sylvan Sorcerer Azata fares when casting the instant kill weird spell with 55 difficulty class against this very late game enemy, and on unfair of course. Just look at that, we killed everyone! Ain't that amazing? Not even the mythic Gallo demon, who is by default immune to fear, the same as the locust swarms here, were able to resist our weird. Wanna know why? Because of the Grandmaster's Rod. This rod isn't just great for damage, as you can see from the description, it's also going to bypass any immunity the enemy might have, including immunity to status effects such as fear. So with this we can destroy even demon lords like Nocticula, who are immune to fear by default. Isn't it just great? The Gallo here was the enemy who had the highest fortitude at 39, but because of favorable magic, we have very high chances of instantly killing it, as they will have to roll twice. Now do note that for these were just random enemies, and we are still missing a lot of potential debuffing to enemy saving throws from effects that I will show you later on a video focused on how to debuff your enemies to the maximum. Now for this build I have actually chosen Sylvan Sorcerer. If you've already watched some of my other videos, then you know I really like pets. It is true that Sylvan Sorcerer won't, for example, be the build with the highest difficulty class in the game, but you can certainly make do. The reason I like Sylvan Sorcerer the best is because I find it to be the smoothest overall really. It is a build that is strong not only during the early game, but also the mid game and the late game, mostly because of your pet, so it does make for quite a very nice gameplay experience throughout the entire game. Now how to make this build? The background chosen was Pickpocket, of course for the bonus to initiative, and the ability point allocation is very simple, and in some ways this build will be similar to my Sylvan Sorcerer Lich. So 14 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, and 19 charisma. The reason we get some amount in strength is so we can also fight during the early levels of the game. So we can both cast our debuffing spells and still contribute to our party, instead of just trying to shoot a crappy crossbow or a low damage cantrip. The skills as usual are up to you, but I went with Knowledge Arcana, Persuasion, and also use Magic Device. And let us talk about our feat progression. At level 1 I actually pick Martial Weapons Proficiency. If you have watched my Lich video, then you know the reason. During the early levels, we will be mostly focused on debuffing the enemy with the Greed spell, and also our dog, who can knock enemies down with just his normal attack. With Martial Weapons Proficiency, we will be able to equip powerful reach martial weapons, such as glaives and bardishes as well. This will provide us with reach, especially when enlarged, thus allowing us to easily attack the enemies while remaining safe, even with low armor class. And of course, benefiting from the -4 penalty to melee armor class enemies get when knocked down. Furthermore, as you can see, we are eventually able to achieve decent attack bonus as well, and this is without some situational bonus, so this is a build that can attack if you so desire, for a fun gameplay experience. At level 1 we also get Spell Focus, Conjuration, and greater spell focus conjuration. The reason is simple: to spam the very powerful Greed spell, of course, and later on Glitter Dust, another extremely powerful early game spell. At level 3, Spell Penetration, and level 5, Greater Spell Penetration. These two feats are so we can use some very powerful instant kill spells later on. At level 7, Meta Magic and Heighten Spell, to increase the power of our Grease and also Glitter Dust and some other spells like Phantasmal Killer as we reach higher spell levels. At level 7 we also get a bonus Sorcerer Bloodline feat, in this case Improved Initiative. At level 9 go with Outflank. At level 11 Persistent Spell Meta Magic, so enemies have to roll twice against our difficulty class spells, such as Phantasmal Killer, Weird, and Phantasmal Putrefaction. The best part about being an Azata with Persistent Spell is that you will be able to force the enemy to roll 3 whole times, when combined with the favorable magic superpower, as I will show you later on during Mythic Progression. Level 13 Combat Reflexes, and also Lightning Reflexes. Level 15 Seize the Moment. Now you can actually ignore these two feats if you don't want the build to have any melee focus whatsoever, and pick something else like, let's say for example, Spell Focus Evocation, and then Spell Specialization Hellfire Ray, so that we gain a more powerful Hellfire Ray earlier for great single target damage, perfect for bosses. At level 17, Improved Critical Ray for our Hellfire Ray. And at level 19, Bolster Spell, once again to improve our Hellfire Ray damage. And lastly, this feat doesn't matter really. In this case I picked Quicken Spell, but you can pick something like Point Blank Shot, which comes as your last Bloodline feat. Now let us talk about our Spellcaster Azata Mythic Progression. Your first Mythic rank, Abundant Casting of course. For your second Mythic rank, Mythic Spell Focused Conjuration. Your third Mythic rank, Improved Abundant Casting. Now for Mythic rank 4, Expanded Arsenal and Illusion. This is why we picked all those conjuration feats early game, because conjuration spells are by far the strongest in the early game. However, starting from mid to late game, we will be able to instantly kill the enemies with the very powerful illusion spells, and with this feat we can apply all of the conjuration bonuses to our illusion school. Of course, your first Azata superpower should without a doubt be favorable magic, both for forcing the enemy to roll twice, and also so that we can roll twice against their spell resistance. Mythic rank 5 and Greater Abundant Casting. Now at Mythic rank 6, be sure to pick Skull Mastery Conjuration. As I said before, this will apply to Illusion. And for my superpower of choice, Life Bonding Friendship. You might have noticed I didn't have many good things to say about this superpower in my general guide. However, as a charisma focused character such as a sorcerer, we can actually benefit from this superpower to its maximum potential. After all, we will be able to achieve something like plus 18 charisma modifier, so our allies will be able to take quite a lot of attacks before dying. Now for the teamwork feat I selected here, I picked Shake It Off, because I didn't have it on my Azata, but you can pick anything you want. For Mythic rank 7, Second Bloodline and Arcane Bloodline. Arcane Bloodline is quite powerful, but the main benefit comes only at level 15, which we will be by the time we pick it at Mythic rank 7, as it's going to grant you a plus 2 difficulty class, 2 spells of your school of choice, in this case Illusion of course for instant killing spells. Now at Mythic rank 8, I picked Zippy Magic, so we can chain for example our Hellfire Ray to other enemies, and by this point in the game our Hellfire Ray will also be at maximum power already. Meanwhile, our Mythic feat should be Improved Critical Mythic and Ray of course. Now at Mythic rank 9, the choice is up to you. I picked Mythical Beast to increase the power of our dog pet, but you can pick whatever you want, such as Elemental Barrage, if you want a more melee focus in the build with both the Genie Kind and Firebrand spell, and of course Archmage Armor for even higher armor class. So what about spells? As sorcerers do have to learn spells when leveling up, the choices are somewhat simple. I'll focus on the ones that are the best. Of course you want Grease as fast as possible during level 1. For level 2 spells, Glitter Dust takes the cake here. For level 3, some more supportive spells like Haste, which should be your first choice as always, unless you have another character capable of casting it. Because we have Conjuration focus, Stinking Cloud can be quite useful as well. It is true that most demons are immune to poison, but cultists on the other hand and some other human enemies are not, and some of these enemies can be annoying, so it can be useful to use Stinking Cloud to shut them down quickly. and you will be able to achieve decent difficulty class with this spell. For level 4 spells, the main attraction here is Phantasmal Killer for instant killing, and because our build will get illusion focus during the mythic progression, we will get amazing difficulty class with it. Your level 5 spells will mostly be supportive ones, such as Animal Growth for your pet, if you don't have another character capable of casting it, like Amelia. You can also get Genie Kind to improve your melee damage with elemental enhancements. Phantasmal Web can be somewhat useful, as it can prevent enemies from moving, but the demons in particular are going to be immune to the nauseated effect, so keep that in mind. For level 6, the spell Magic Greater is always useful, but the main star here is Phantasmal Putrefaction, an illusion spell that can shut enemies down, including demons, by making them sleep, and most demons are not immune to sleep at all. Hellfire Ray is of course another amazing spell, but for this spell in particular, we can just use the Red Salamander Ring to gain it for free. Level 7 spells are mostly about buffing, like Legendary Proportions, Firebrand, and Ice Body. The same for level 8 spells, Sea Mantle for example, and the very useful Frightful Aspect for instant shaken, which means -2 saves to the enemies, and also has great synergy with the Shatter Defenses feat. Now it is true the level 7 and 8 spells are mostly about buffs, but remember, we do have both Persistent Spell and also Heightened Spell, so we can slot some level 7 and 8 spells with early powerful spells like Grease, Glitter Dust, Phantasmal Killer, and Phantasmal Putrefaction, while also increasing their difficulty class because of the level increase. Now at level 9 spells, we get our ultimate instant kill spell, Weird. By default, you cannot use Persistent Spell with this spell here, because it is a level 9 spell. However, an Azata with favorable magic will instantly apply the effect, so even without Persistent Spell, the enemy will have to save twice and pick the worst result, highly increasing the chances of this spell working and instantly killing our enemies, including powerful bosses. The other spells are mostly buffs, such as Fiery Body. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can always heighten useful early level spells such as Grease, Glitter Dust, and Phantasmal Killer for higher difficulty class. So let us talk about gear for our Silver Sorcerer Azata. We certainly want the Glass Amulet of Clarity to increase the difficulty class of illusion spells. Your armor is up to you. I picked Deadly Rays for the bonus to ranged attack rolls. Now the robe slot is a given really. For the late game, during chapter 5, you certainly want the Robe of Mephistopheles for the very powerful aura that grants the enemies -4 saves against mind-affecting spells. And this works without a save, so you hit the enemies every time. For the mid to early game, you can use the Robe of Determination for an increasing spell penetration checks and also difficulty class of your fortitude save spells. Now the belt is up to you really. You can for example focus on Dexterity and Constitution belts. The reason I picked Display of Power here is just for show, as it, just like the Robes of Mephistopheles, it also grants you a permanent aura that reduces the enemy's will saving throws by -2. Because the range is somewhat big at 50 feet, you can leave this belt for other characters that will be engaged in melee, like pets or Scylla for example. For boots, as usual, boots of freest range. The headband slots should certainly be headbands that increase charisma. Now the goggle slots, well, goggles of mind control. This is a somewhat annoying goggle to get, because you can only get it in the Enigma dungeon during chapter 5, but it is very useful because of the bonus to mind-affecting spells, like all of the instant kill illusion ones. Go with Cloaks of Resistance. As for rings, Magician's Rings of course for the increasing illusion spells, and the Red Salamander Ring for free fire spells, including the very powerful Hellfire Ray and Fiery Body. For braces, I like going with Braces of Armor in this case +8. Now your weapon slot is also a given. In the early game, as I said before, use reach weapons to hit the enemy while retaining safety. Starting from chapter 3, you certainly want the Quarterstaff of the War Mage, because of the very useful increase in difficulty class of all your spells by +2. Last but not least, we have our Meta Magic Rods, Devouring Lust for maximize and unholy damage, and Grandmaster's Rod for both empower and maximize, and also to ignore any immunity the enemy might have. Aivu the Havoc Dragon is one of the most unique additions to the Azata Mythic Path. First, she has quite an amazing amount of dialogue interactions, and will pretty much interact with you in not only a lot of main quest dialogue events, but also during side quests even. Certainly way more than all of the Lich companions combined. And that's not all, because she is also a formidable companion, gameplay-wise that is. First, she has very high levels in her Havoc Dragon class, a very strong class that has high saving throws in all of the saves, with very high base attack bonus equal to her level. So basically, at level 32 I also have 32 base attack bonus, just like a fighter. A good amount of damage that can be further increased by the power attack feat she comes with, a decent number of attacks per round as well, and last but not least, she's also a competent spellcaster, capable of eventually casting quite a lot of supportive spells to buff not only her but also support your party members. You can eventually even ride Aivu
I am never wrong. Ready.
into battle. As I will show you later on, Aivu will gain power with each of your Azata Mythic ranks, so let's get started on how that actually works. Aivu will first come at level 10 whenever you reach Azata Mythic 3, and she will only have access to some divine cantrips mostly, as far as spellcasting that is. As soon as you reach Azata Mythic 4, however, Aivu will gain 5 whole levels, becoming level 15, and also access to level 1 spells. At Mythic rank 5, Aivu will once again gain more 5 levels, for a total of level 20. And she will also gain access to level 2 spells. She will also become medium size instead of just small, which means small characters like halflings and gnomes can now ride your Aivu. You can, however, get medium characters like humans to ride Aivu at Mythic rank 5 just by using Reduce Person.
I'm gone.
This way your character will become small. And there we go.
We should move.
At Mythic rank 5, Aivu will also acquire the Frightful Presence ability, which is basically a fear aura that will always be activated around her. The difficulty class will increase with each of your Mythic ranks. In my case, at Mythic rank 9 I have 40 difficulty class, which is rather high even for unfair. This can and will send even powerful mythic demons running away in fear of Aivu. Now, Aivu's fear aura, well, I believe its usefulness is going to depend on your tastes really. For some players it can be very annoying to have enemies constantly running away from you, especially as if you are in a dungeon, they might end up aggroing other enemies as you run to catch them. On the other hand, it can be very amusing to see very high level mythic demons run away in complete fear of Aivu, your very own dragon. At Azata Mythic rank 6, Aivu will once again gain more 5 levels for a total of level 25, and also instantly gain access to level 3, 4 and 5 spells all at once. Now at Azata Mythic rank 7, Aivu's progression will slow down a bit. She will go from level 25 to level 28. And also gain access to both level 6 and level 7 spells. And Mythic 7 is also when Aivu will finally grow to large size, her ultimate size. This means your medium-sized characters, such as humans, elves and so on, will now be able to properly ride Aivu
Weapons, spells, poisons,
without needing to cast size increasing or size decreasing spells. Meanwhile, at Mythic rank 8, Aivu will go from level 28 to level 30. At Mythic rank 9, Aivu will go from level 30 to 32, and also gain access to level 8 spells at last. Aivu even has a few feats that you cannot customize, basically feats that enhance her natural attacks. Aivu also has a decent breath attack that deals 2d10 damage for every Azata Mythic rank you have, so basically up to 200 damage at Mythic rank 10. The difficulty class will also increase with each of your Mythic ranks for about the same DC as that of your Frightful Presence, in this case 40. It can hit a rather big cone area for a lot of damage. Alright, so let us talk now about Aivu Spells. At level 0 she will only have a few cantrips, nothing special. At level 1, the best spell here is without a doubt Divine Favor, because it will allow Aivu to gain a +3 luck bonus to both attack rolls and damage rolls as soon as she gains it. Your level 2 spells aren't really going to be that useful, but Remove Curse can also be very powerful when cast by Aivu because of her extreme caster level, in this case 32. This way you will without a doubt be able to dispel any curse cast by any of the enemies in the game. For level 4 spell, we have some very powerful divine buffs, mainly Death Ward and also Freedom of Movement. And of course, the very useful Restoration spell to remove ability damage and negative levels. Her level 5 spells are nothing special really, besides spell resistance, which can be very powerful once again because of Aivu's extreme caster level. For example, at Mythic rank 9 and 32 caster level, Aivu's spell resistance will grant any of your party members 44 spell resistance. A massive amount really. Aivu's level 6 spells are also very useful. First we have heal, of course, to restore a lot of hit points for our party members. But the best spell here is without a doubt the Spell Magic Greater. Just like spell resistance and remove curse, this spell is also more powerful the higher your caster level, and since Aivu here has 32, she will without a doubt dispel even the late game boss enemies with complete ease. Her level 7 spells are also very useful when it comes to support, Restoration Greater and of course Resurrection to fully revive party members. Lastly, we have her level 8 spells, and frankly these aren't really going to be that useful. Now let's talk about gear for Aivu. This is going to be similar for pet gear in most cases. For example, for the amulet slot you certainly want amulets that enhance her natural attacks. For belts, you want belts that increase constitution or strength, especially the ones that give +6 or +8. Now as for the glove slot, this is a part where Aivu is different from animals. She will not be able to equip pet gear such as unholy knee pads here. For the helmet slot, you can go with Shy Lily for +4 profane, but I prefer to leave that to my dog or wolf. So in Aivu's case, I go with Demonic Resentment as I use a Scald, and this will increase the rage power. Cloaks, of course you want Cloaks of Resistance, to increase Aivu's extremely high saving throws even further. She cannot equip any rings, and as for braces, much like pets, you will want Braces of Armor to increase her armor class. Of course, I want to finish this section on Aivu by saying that if you want her to be as powerful as possible, then you will of course need to buff her properly. And you can use my pet guide to know most of the buffs that you can cast on Aivu. The only animal buff that you can't really cast on Aivu is going to be the Animal Growth spell, as it only works on animals. Well, so this was it everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this video on everything you need to know really about the very unique and very powerful Azata Mythic Path in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Please support the channel if you can by liking this video and also subscribing. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.